Hello, my loves. Listen, I know there is so much going on in the world right now. So, if you're feeling extra reactive or emotional, this video is for you. I'm Rachael Poffenroth, and I help people discover and realign with the truth of who they are, to be able to radiate their value, and to come in contact with the remembrance of their power. So let's get into this emotional video today about how we can become the emotional masters, not be the servants of our emotions. So when emotional things seem to keep coming up, the first thing I want you to know is that they're coming up so that you can heal and integrate that part of you that is begging for your attention. Because it's only when we have all the pieces of the puzzle together that we can see the whole picture, right? It's the same with us. If you're missing a piece of the puzzle, you can't see the whole thing. So if we're missing a piece of our puzzle, we're going to go around and keep asking, what's my purpose? Why am I here? How can I create change? How can I do this? How can I do that? But there's clues in those pieces that we keep trying to hide and reject and stick under the rug or keep in the closet, pretend they're not there. They are, and they're what make you you. Just like your individualized fingerprint creates an ID, so too does a life. Experiences create you. So let's get into how we can heal and integrate those missing pieces so that you can feel like that whole and complete and perfect being that you are. And you can begin to see the whole picture of you as this most valuable person. So as you begin to release what's holding you back and what's no longer serving you, there's likely to feel like you're in a bit of a turbulent zone where you're entering into unfamiliar territory because you're releasing old layers of old fabricated identities that aren't you, but you thought they were you. So I encourage you to stay as curious as possible. And when all else fails, remember my acronym, P.A.I.N. I call it my pain process. It's going to help you to process emotional sensations effectively instead of suppressing or stifling them. This is true emotional mastery. And as we master the senses of these conditioned responses, we are also able to create space to see what else is available to us. We're always so preoccupied in our minds with how someone or something is making us feel, but you're never going to be able to hear insights and guidance that you're asking for. You see, I teach people how to access their intuition. It has nothing to do with the gifts or skills. It's in all of us, just laying there dormant, because for most of us, we're so distracted with the world stuff, just like everything that's going on in your relationships, with your money, with the government, with crisis around the world, with the pandemic, whatever it is, that we rarely get in touch with the truth of who we are. So rather than continuing to obsess about what someone else is telling you is about the truth about who you are or what the world is, that we go back into this aligned state where we can access all those amazing things like magic and miracles, intuition, because you're so much more powerful than you're letting yourself see, and probably more than you're even going to experience in this lifetime. I offer this emotional mastery process to you, which is straight out of my book that I'm writing, that will be able to be pre-ordered very soon. So if you like this message, you're going to love the profound awarenesses that the book also provides, and about how you can become the magnificent creator of your life and stop feeling trapped and limited. So I offer this emotional mastery process to you so you can begin to regulate within, because as you begin to see how powerful you are to create the feeling tone, a difference of the feeling tone in your inner world, you're also going to see how powerful you are to create in your external circumstances, just from creating this feeling tone inside, which radiates outside. And thereby you get to create your desired experiences externally. Isn't that amazing? So instead of working on the external world and trying to fix it, we just work on us, and then things change. You are actually that powerful. So let's get into it. Now, the average emotional sensation, it only lasts like 60 to 90 seconds, unless we tether it, hook it into another one. So in those 60 to 90 seconds of you noticing an emotion, by using this process, you can release it just like a lightning bolt. Let it flow straight through you back to earth. And just like that lightning bolt, we are electrical beings. We spend every day picking up on the electrical charges from our emotions, from the emotions of others. And if you're an empath, you're probably also picking up on the emotions of the collective. So you definitely need this super powerful tool to process them, because stuck emotions wreak havoc on your body. They are the source of pain, sickness, illness, and disease. I have been a certified medical intuitive for over 10 years, and I can verify that this is the source of everything that you do not want in your body. Because as an emotion stagnates, it creates stiffness. And if there's no flow, then we know that, think about your breath. If there was no flow, what happens? You cease to exist, right? We need the blood flow, we need airflow. And so we need to stay in those flow states. And if the emotions aren't stuck and are stuck, then they're not able to be flushed out and they're not able to flow. So I encourage you to possibly take note so that you can have this, whether it's on your phone or on your fridge, whatever, when the electrical surges are triggered, so you can process it effectively. So the first step, guys, in the signature pain process is P, which is to pause. So this is the invitation to become aware that there's an energetic sensation asking for your attention. We call it a trigger, but really it's just an energetic sensation flowing through your body. So just to get a tiny bit scientific here for a quick second, I just want to quickly explain that biochemical rushes that we experience, we think of as emotions or emotional sensations. We can think of them like waves. And when a wave becomes triggered in the body, it lasts, like I said, roughly 60 to 90 seconds, which means that they are temporary. And from the time that the brain activates this wave of emotional sensations, which then creates that chemical reaction that flows into your bloodstream, and then it dissipates again. And I know you can handle 60 to 90 seconds because it's roughly how long you're going to sit in a drive-through, or how long you're going to brush your teeth, or how long it's going to take for you to go out to your car and start it in the morning. This is not too long that it cannot be endured. But the problem is that we've labeled these things as bad, and so we try and avoid them. But I want to work with you in a different way today. So imagine with me for a moment that you're walking along a beautiful sandy beach, and the warm, salty breeze is gently blowing in your hair. You'll notice that the waves of the stunning blue water, they lap against the shoreline as you walk, and you notice how the waves wash your footsteps away. And you might also notice that the waves overcome the shoreline for a few moments and then they disappear. They creep up and then they seem to hang out on the sand, and then they linger for a second, they recede and subside. It's not like a light switch that's turned on and then off. Gradually they're going to appear, and then gradually they disappear. They can emerge with ferocity or materialize gently, but no matter how they show up, they always subside. How weird would it be if you saw a wave rush up on the shoreline and just hang out there? Well, it's not the nature of the wave, and it's also not the nature of our emotional sensations. They're just like the waves. They ebb and they flow. They emerge and then they subside. And every time you rethink that same thought or a similar memory, you're going to experience the same wave. So to change this, we need to remain present long enough to retranslate it. Our job is to stay present, to allow it to be experienced and surf those waves. So while you're surfing the waves, we also need to give this conditioned mind something to do. So we breathe. I know it sounds super simple, but I'm going to show you a specific way to breathe. So when you breathe in this way I'm going to share with you, you're going to communicate with your vagus nerve, which is actually the longest nerve in your body. It's responsible for the regulation of internal organ functions, things like digestion, heart rate, respiratory rate, as well as a whole bunch of other things like coughing and sneezing and swallowing and vomiting. So it's pretty important nerve for us to be communicating with, especially if you're feeling stressed, right? When you breathe in this way, what you're communicating is that you're safe. Now, that safe feeling state is integral to access before you're able to change anything. If you're feeling unsafe or you're threatened in any way, which obviously you're gonna be if you're feeling upset or frustrated or hurt or angry, This isn't the state where you're going to be able to create lasting change because you're actually in your primal survival brain. You're in full on reaction mode. So, through this breath, we put a wedge in the chemical rush in that survival brain. And we're literally saying, hey, body, you're safe. See my breathing tone? There's nothing to be afraid of. And you ask your frontal lobe, which is the evolved brain here, which, guys, as a side note, it's not developed till you're 12. So if you're asking your kids to understand reasoning outside of what is safe and unsafe, that primal survival brain, reactive responses, you're like fighting a losing battle. This frontal lobe is responsible for higher cognitive functions such as memory, emotions, impulse control, social interaction, problem solving, and other motor functions. We can see the importance of moving from that freak out, fight, flight, flee response, that reaction, right, into this higher level of impulse control and problem solving mode before we even attempt to create change. So this is the safety breath. You put your hand on your heart, wherever that feels to you, and breathe in for the count of 5 and out for the count of 8. Yes, you are breathing in longer or shorter than when you're exhaling. And why is that? Because we're emoting. Emotions, which literally means energy in motion, emote, is you're moving that energy out of you for the next 90 seconds. Evidently, as a side note, this is also the state that you need to be in before you begin visualizing the life that you desire, doing affirmations, or any other technique to create changes or magic or miracles in your life. You must first get into that safe zone before you are going to feel like you can step outside of it. There's a specific amount of time that you need to do this with before you start working on your manifesting techniques, which I share in my book. And it's going to help to begin to allow you to hear your guidance system, your emotional, your intuitive guidance, which then leads to all kinds of magic and miracles that you want to manifest. So get on that free order list for this book. Okay, guys, so back to the pain process. As you surf the wave of electrical sensations, while you're concentrating on this very specific heart-safe breathing style, you let them ride their course. In the moment, you're going to feel centered, grounded, and calm. Intriguing insights are going to follow. With consistent practice, you're going to be able to unhook those claws of the old stories and old perceptions and beliefs. And you're going to begin to notice the power of rediscovering your ability to have control over your programming, over your thoughts and your outcomes. There are so many stories of individuals who have mended relationships and engaged in crazy, courageous conversations and who've gone out and pursued amazing goals that they were previously too afraid to explore. But the most important is this. People finally begin to discover they're comfortable in their own skin. Would that change your life? And that's truly the most amazing benefit of this constantly practiced pain process. So our homework for today is, as you begin to experience these unpleasant sensations, embrace them. And know that these sensations are the light which shines on the path back to you. It's the path that we spend our whole lives searching for. It's the path to our happiness, our fulfillment, our wholeness, and ultimately our freedom in all areas of your life. Experiencing our full self, even those sensations we've labeled as negative, encompass an important part of embracing our wholeness. Without them, we feel like we're lacking. And by avoiding them, we continue to perpetuate the existing voids. Conversely, though, by accepting and allowing them, we become whole again. So the P in the pain process is to pause and become present to what you're feeling and remain there for a moment while you go through the rest of that process. Remain willing to experience the sensations and surf the waves. And the best part is, it won't take years, it won't even take a day. It's only going to take you a few seconds. So next in the acronym of PAIN is A, which stands for aware. So now that you've paused and you're present in your body, you become aware now that you have allowed misaligned thoughts to become energized. Your thoughts are rooted in your physical senses. That's really important to become aware of. Senses are the greatest source of childhood conditioned responses. And when we energize these misaligned thoughts, it creates the conditioned response that's something along the lines like, it's not fair, or I'm not enough, or no one cares about me. Can you hear my voice? I can emulate my 8-year-old saying these things. No matter what I do, I can't win. Or I always have to do everything alone, or whatever yours is. And from this thought, you are wanting to react like you were in childhood to try and get what you want. However, the gift that awareness provides is that it gets you out of that catalog, rational mind and back into your heart center. We see, what I want to share with you is that your mind files are and accesses the memory bank in files of emotions, things like sadness, shame, embarrassment, guilt, different kinds of fears. It catalogs everything based on the past experience of that same feeling. So when you have a memory or something happens in your world and then you have an emotional sensation race through your body, what your mind's going to do is it's going to go pull up that unresolved sadness file, say if that's what you're feeling, and remind you how it turned out, how long it took to get over whatever you said or whatever made you sad, and all the other side effects that came with it. So it doesn't catalog things in age. It's not this happened to me at 5, this happened to me at 8. It's cataloged in the emotional labels. And whatever it is that's sitting there waiting to be noticed, as soon as you open that door a crack, all of it wants to come out. It all wants to be healed and integrated. So if you've got a lot that maybe on the sad memory journey, it's kind of like being on a train ride. It can be a long, exhausting train ride, right? We start crying and then we think about this and then the next thing comes in and it can turn into just a really long, sad, hard day. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you let your heart-connected breath be the conductor, now you're on a much shorter train ride. And it shortcuts you right to the destination, and that energetic sensation is discharged and you're on your way, enjoying your day and not feeling stuck in the past doing circles of regrets in that should have prison. Your misaligned thoughts are anything that pulls you away from your knowing, from the remembrance that you are source energy and that you lack nothing. But unless we practice this awareness, we kind of have these teeny tiny awareness muscles. So just like when you got to go to the gym to build muscles with repetitive exercise, so too will this practice continue to strengthen your awareness to the point where eventually it will become the habituated response, not the emotional reactions that you're engaging in right now. I know this because this is what it is for me. So I know you can do it as well. I wasn't taught any of this stuff, guys. I have learned all of this on my own, and I'm offering this process to you as a gift so you can shortcut your learning curve and get onto that path of alignment so much faster. I know this specific step is not logical, and that is why you want to keep that busy, rationalized brain focused on your breathing and the hand on your heart, which is creating that sense of safety. Can you see how powerful this is? You're actually reprogramming all those emotions that you thought you should not be feeling, that you've labeled as bad or wrong, with the feeling of safety. So now you're actually allowing them to be there and to wash through you. You're calling those pieces back to you so you can feel whole again. So third step in the PA.I.N process of P.A.I.N acronym, I stands for inquiry. So you want to ask yourself, what am I believing about myself to feel this way? Not what triggered this or what did they do. You're going to ask yourself only, what am I believing about myself to be able to feel this way? You go back to the source of what set off the landslide of sensations. And the reason you want to do this is because you want to connect the dots. There's so much freedom when you begin knowing yourself in this way. And you want to know what beliefs are hiding in the shadows and sending off this cascade of energetic sensations, right? So that you can change it and upgrade the beliefs. First, by bringing them into the light. Because I'm sure you're very aware that when you turn on a light in a room, the shadows evidently disappear because shadows are only the effect of a lack of light. So when we're feeling these sensations, we see it as an invitation to look at something, to turn on the light so we can know ourselves and what is actually hiding in the shadows. I'm sure you've heard of Socrates. He was viewed by many as the founding figure of what we have now as our Western philosophy. He was an amazing Greek philosopher. Most people don't know he also served with distinction as a soldier, but he also became the questioner of everything, and he was the father of that statement, know thyself. Knowing oneself, as Socrates described it, also entails knowing your true nature, not just what makes you tick. As an aspect of infinite source energy, this is your true nature. And when you know yourself, the truest and highest version of you, you can actually begin to map all the things that trip you up, not to avoid them, but discover ways to move through them differently, to allow them to be there. It's a way of changing up that internal programming so it doesn't continue to have that same effect and power over you next time. This is ultimate freedom. Again, it's not so you can avoid it, but so that you can see it in a different way. There are always more than one perspective available. So you're taking on another perspective, putting on a different pair of, glasses or lenses so that you can not only appreciate both ends of that point of view, but also that you're not stuck in that swamp of sameness that does not allow or support your expansion or evolution. We're here to grow, evolve, and expand. That's the definition of life, the literal definition, if you look it up in the dictionary. So when you're doing anything contrary to those things, growing, expanding, and evolving, you're not participating in life. You're actually participating in your premature death. You're not swimming in that fountain of youth that can provide you with all the amazing, fulfilling experiences and the happy moments that you're going to cherish forever. So now that you're aware of exactly what you're feeling, and you've inquired into what misaligned belief you have about yourself that's been hiding in the shadows, so now it's been lit up, which has triggered this emotional response, so that you can reprogram it. It doesn't have the same intensity or charge next time. And you realize you're not a victim, not to others, not to your circumstances, and definitely not to your emotions. The only thing that you're giving your power away to in this moment is your conditioned mind. And because it can only reference things from the past and present that to you through its case of being, presented, it's time to let yourself move beyond that and explore all the amazingness that you've been missing out on. So we've taken these heart-centering breaths, right? Which in and of itself is a way of taking your power back. Then you've become aware of your body to stop that high-speed barrage of the inner critic chatter. Next, you become aware of your misaligned thoughts and that belief that you used to be hiding in the shadows, tripping you up. And now you're learning what Socrates said, to know thyself. And we're now on to the last step, fourth step in the P.A.I.N acronym, which is N, which is what pulls everything together. And it's the most essential of the steps to flush this emotion out. It stands for need. Now, this is where you begin to ask yourself, what do I need? What can I do for myself that can get me back into my high vibe state? What do I need to self-validate? Perhaps like honoring or praising yourself rather than expecting to get it from others. Or maybe, do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to get out in nature? Do I need to paint, dance, sing? Do I need to give myself permission to do these things? Do I need to give myself the love that I'm asking from others? Do I need to give myself the respect or appreciation or celebration that I'm expecting others to give me? Remember, guys, others are just a mirror for what's in here. I'm going to say that again. Others are just a mirror for what's in here. So we start with our internal world, which naturally creates change in the external world. What you are expecting of others is a reflection of your unmet needs within you, where you're saying others are falling short. is actually a huge beacon of light showing you where you're falling short of giving yourself what you desperately need. So when you begin looking at what you need, this isn't you asking someone to give you something or act in a different way. This is all about what you can do for you. We're with ourselves 24/7, and we're with ourselves for our whole life. So we might as well become really good friends with ourselves and start giving ourselves those things that we need. We put so much emphasis and energy into what others do. But to take back your power, you need to take responsibility for your own emotional reactions and dig into what you feel is missing in those relationships and love yourself enough to give that to you. It's only missing because you are holding it away from you. As soon as you invite it and allow it in, guess what? It's coming. It's like the party guest that sits by the phone waiting to be invited. It's a sure thing that the love that you feel you're missing is just hoping you're going to call it up and invite it over, even if it's just for a cup of tea. Often you will discover the way that your parents or caregivers met or ignored your needs is probably the same way that you do it now as an adult. Yes, this is incredibly interesting stuff once you begin to pull back the layers and connect those dots. This process is so powerful for taking your power back that practiced regularly, it can completely change the trajectory of your day or your week or your year, your life. And I invite you to take the moment to put this pain process into practice while it's still fresh in your mind. If there's something that's been bothering you that you've been trying to suppress or ignore, use this pain process now and then continue to use it liberally as you explore the vast ocean of your emotions and what's holding you back from your magical transformation and the breakthrough that you have been desiring and that you have deserved for so long. All right, guys. Remember that if you like this, you're going to love how to become the master of all of your world. And that's what my book is going to share with you. Because you are not the creator, you are the servant. So stay tuned for the pre-ordering link, which I will put below as soon as it's available, or the order link if it comes up to that point. So until we meet again, so much love, my lovelies. I care about you so much. And remember, you are the magnificent creator of your own life.